What's your story? Whether you are a client or an independent financial advisor, we know you face many important decisions that can affect your and your clients' long-term financial success. Welcome to the WIN Podcast, What's Important Now with Corey Heimensen, accredited investment fiduciary and president of Heimensen Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, Corey helps you identify your goals and objectives through financial education and comprehensive planning, while inspiring you to make better behavioral decisions in your personal finance. With a twist on pop culture and current events, join us as we explore growth and protection strategies for individuals, advisors, and their businesses. Come and discover what's important to you now.
Hello and welcome to the WIN Podcast with Corey Heimensen. Corey, what's going on?
Eric, good to see you. It's amazing how fast time goes by before we have to do this again all the time.
Yeah, no, this is, I got to say, I'm really excited because you are introducing us to two of the team members today. This is the first time you've had guests on, and you've got two gentlemen with you. Who'd you bring in?
Yeah, I got two guys here from our team in the office, and the first one's Ryan, and the second one is Zed. And so we're going to get to know them a little bit. We're going to have some fun, have some laughs, hopefully.
Okay, Ryan and Zed, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that Corey decided to have you on. Real quick, before I get into these questions, I know that, Corey, you're going to have me kind of do this little round robin stuff, and a lot of these questions are great. I'm excited to get into it. But Ryan, let me ask you this first. What do you do at the firm?
Well, first off, Corey, thanks for having me on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
At the firm here, I'm a financial advisor. So basically, I can do whatever Corey does. I can answer client questions. I can guide them on any finance related topics. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
But can you podcast? That's what we're going to find out today.
We're going to find out.
All right, Zed, how about you? What do you do at the firm?
Yeah, first of all, I'm happy to be here with you guys today. I'm actually a newer employee here. So I just graduated from Morningside University a couple weeks ago. So this is actually my first full week at the firm. So right now I'm studying to get licensed as an advisor to follow in kind of the footsteps of Corey and Ryan. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Fantastic. I mean, the first week is podcasting. Second week is bungee jumping. So I hope you're prepared.
Right.
All right.
On the intro questionnaire, I did ask these guys if they had a bucket list, and neither one of them had podcasting on that list.
Scribble it in, boys. Scribble it in. Here we go. Hang on to your shorts. All right. So this podcast title is actually MMA. So first of all, Corey, why don't you tell us why it's titled MMA, and then I'll get into the questions.
Well, you know me, I like to play on words on some of these things. So what we're talking about is millennials on mobile assets. So these two guys, obviously nobody can see them, but they fall into the definition of millennials in our society. And so I thought it'd be fun, since I'm 2 or 3 decades beyond millennial category, to bring them in, because I think they maybe have different viewpoints and concepts of money, mobile, crypto. We can go down a lot of paths here, but so we just wanted to make it fun. So we thought MMA seemed like a good thing to dive into.
All right. Well, before we get into any of the technical stuff, since it is titled MMA, I want to ask you guys, if you had to choose between one event or the other, meaning you had tickets, free tickets, by the way, and this is good stuff, to mixed martial arts or boxing, which one would you choose?
Yeah, Eric, for me, it'd definitely be UFC, MMA. So my favorite fighter is Israel Adesanya, kickboxer, middleweight champ. Yeah, he's a really good fighter. That's be the one event that I'd want to go to for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric, you asked me this question 5-10 years ago, I'm probably going to choose boxing. I was always a big Floyd Mayweather fan, but he's not really around anymore. So now I'd probably go with UFC as well. I don't really have a favorite fighter. I just think that, those guys are pretty tough. Modern day gladiators.
Sure. I'll tell you, I have been a fan of MMA for a very, very long time. I was actually in attendance, not physically, but on the TV for the very first UFC fight when it was back on pay-per-view, which was a thing. I guess you still have to pay for it, but yeah, pay-per-view was a big thing, and I loved it. And I don't know, I've got a daughter, and so recently we've actually watched some of the ladies in MMA, and I wouldn't want to go up against any of them either. They're incredible.
It's funny you say that. A bunch of my friends, we always kind of argue about whether they could beat up a women MMA fighter. And I always tell them there's no shot, but some of them think they got it.
That's right.
Can you say that in a podcast? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, come on. We're throwing the gauntlet. So right now, after the podcast, I'd like the names of those guys that said they could take them. I can put them in contact with some true MMA women fighters, and we could sell some tickets to that.
Let's make it happen.
Well,
I'm thinking somebody's waking up in a coma. That's all I know. And it's not her. So
there you go. And you know, Eric, I know on one of our episodes earlier, we talked about Mike Tyson. So I want to clarify that if Mike is listening today, no offense, Mike, but I too like MMA better than boxing anymore because there's just no characters.
Yeah, we just keep mentioning people that could definitely take me in a fight every time, which is Mike. Iron Mike, you still got it. I get it. All right. Well, Corey, I got to ask you, so you're saying that MMA is where you would go to with the tickets?
I think I would, but you know how my mind works. It ties right into society in general, because, you look back 20 years ago, maybe you could see boxing world championship night on a Friday on one of the major networks. Mm-hmm. But it was like a 45-minute boxing match and 3-minute rounds, 15 rounds, mm-hmm. and you think about society with social media, content delivered to our fingertips 24/7, it kind of wires all our brains to be faster thinking, faster action. We want stuff and we want it now. And mm-hmm. You look at MMA, they go whatever 3 or 5 rounds. I mean, they knock that stuff out in a lot faster, arguably more violent way. And that's what society likes.
Yeah, literally knock that stuff out faster. So yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to change gears a little bit, and I really like this question because, I'm from a later generation as Corey is. So, gentlemen, the young guys in the room, what's your opinion of mobile banking? Online banking, and to follow that question, when was the last time you were actually physically in a bank?
Yeah, Eric, for me, pretty much all banking I do is online. Anytime I get a check in my hands, first thing I do is take out my phone, open the app, and take a picture of it, deposit it. As far as the last time I've been in a bank, I was trying to think, and it's been a while. I think the last time was probably when I got my parents' name off my bank account, which has been a few years.
Yeah, to follow up with you, Ryan, it's pretty much been the same for me. It's every check you get, you're mobile depositing it just through the app with your camera. And the last time I was actually in a bank was to sign a bunch of paperwork for a mortgage that me and my fiance actually just purchased a new house. So other than actually banking, it's not going to the actual bank very often.
Congratulations on the house. That's great. So following that question, do you trust it? Do you trust online banking?
Yeah, I honestly have no reason not to, just because pretty much every transaction I've done over the past 5 years has been through mobile banking. I've never mm-hmm. had any issue with it. You can log on whenever you want super easily, just with Face ID or whatever you choose to use. And you can instantly see your balance right away. So I've had no issues with security or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I found it wonderful. My wife does, most of the online banking. She has been great at setting up the accounts, and I've been the beneficiary of being able to do exactly that, right? Just jump on the app, Face ID, I'm in, take pictures of the checks, whatever. I use it for my business as well. So I think it's been fantastic, and I think it's a good change. What I don't necessarily trust, and this is me, and maybe just because I'm an old curmudgeon, cryptocurrency. I have concerns about that because, especially, I don't know if anybody else was watching Luna. I think it was Luna Coin or something or other, Looney Coin maybe. But it tanked in a day and a half from 100, lost 100% of its value. And I know people lost money. So I'm a little concerned about that. What are your guys' opinions of cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. There was, I saw something, there was some social media guy who put $3 million into Luna a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, you know where that's at now. We always talk about it. We think it's pretty speculative in nature, and it's hard to call it a currency when it's changing in price so much. You're not really going to buy anything with it. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I'm the old guy in the room, but I'll piggyback on that. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, it's different this time," or it's a new currency. It's a hedge against things. Well, if you watch bonds, stock market, asset values in general, it's pretty apparent to me that it's not a hedge against other things. It seems to go the same direction as a lot of other mainstream asset categories. So,
yeah.
I guess to offer a different viewpoint, I don't think crypto is going anywhere. I think it's something that's going to be around for a long time. I'm in the same boat as these two guys. I don't think there's really any value of it as a medium of exchange or a store of value. there's no physical assets backing cryptocurrency. But with that being said, the seamless use of a digital dollar is something that the United States is probably going to look into at some point. So it'll be interesting to see the regulation of cryptos in the future.
We've come to the point in the show where I'm going to make a reference that the young guys probably don't understand, but Corey will. So I just want to preface
and then
that.
I will laugh really loud with a hearty chuckle.
Yeah. And so this whole Luna coin thing, it was basically, it's the new pet rock, right? Except at the end of the day, people who bought pet rocks, they had rocks.
They still had material value of an object they could touch.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a 17-pound thing that they're toting around their house, but at least they had it. Anyway, that's my
I'll have
opinion.
to describe that after work today. Yeah. But anyway, to these guys.
Yeah. And they'll just think less of us. Thank you for that. All right. Well, we've talked about, mobile banking. We talked about online banking, online investing. That's another thing. And I know that there's a million ways to invest online. Have you guys tried it? Have you done that online, either recently or earlier in your career, or early in your thought process? And what do you think?
Yeah, I initially started trying to invest online back in high school. I thought it'd be a good idea to try and day trade stocks. Definitely didn't go as well as I thought it would. I lost a few dollars there, but from there I kind of transitioned just to trying to buy and hold individual stocks and see where that went. That was a little better. I didn't make a whole lot of money doing that, but now I'm kind of at the point where I think you're just a lot better off having a diversified portfolio and just buying that and letting it ride.
Yeah, for me, I guess, Eric, you might not actually know this, but Corey's my dad. So growing up, I actually had a lot of access to an institutional form of investing. So I never really had to go to the digital platforms. So a lot of my experience growing up with investing was just kind of learning from him and having access to those different platforms inside of an actual financial advising firm. So that's kind of been my experience with that. The one thing I would like to note is that I actually did play around with a little bit of cryptocurrency investing just to kind of see what it was like just on an outside platform. And obviously it went up over the course of a week. The next week it went back down to about what it was at. So just kind of something to play around with. But other than that, not really a whole lot of experience with online investing. Well,
it's funny that you mentioned that Corey's your father. My son is probably about your age, and he just about a month ago was asking me about crypto and what should he do and so on and so forth. And I just said, son, it is money that you would play with anyway. The stuff that you're going to use to buy a Monster or whatever at the local gas station. That's the money that you want to use if you're going to invest in something, buy some crypto or whatever. It's got to be play money because it is so quick and easy to lose. So I'm right there with you. Finding out that your Corey son makes this next question a little awkward, but I asked your father, during his inaugural podcast, and I'm asking both of you, but we'll start with Ryan. So Zed, you can try to kind of guard yourself here. Ryan, what's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Yeah. You know what, Eric? I don't think I need to wait. I think I got something right off the top of my head. So,
all right.
Some people close to me might know this, but when I was in college, I actually started out playing football my freshman year, and a couple games into the season, I actually had pretty bad knee injury. So I ended up tearing my ACL, PCL, LCL, hamstring, and I had some nerve damage and I displaced my meniscus. So needless to say, I was in crutches for about 8 months and didn't have any feeling in my foot for that entire time, but made a full recovery and started coaching after that. So kind of an interesting college journey, but that's something that a lot of the viewers might not know about me.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a PCL. You broke things I didn't even know about.
Alphabet soup of issues
Seriously.
there.
Yeah, my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're on the mend, and yeah, that definitely takes you in a different direction than you thought we were going. So that's I'm glad you overcame that.
Yeah, thanks.
I think Ryan went on to an online search engine to try and find something interesting about himself.
Yeah, or make sure there's things that aren't on that search engine. Ryan, let's go, buddy.
Yeah, so I got something a lot of the viewers might not know about me, but I think these other two guys in the room probably do, and that's that I love to watch sports and I love the sports bet.
Do you really?
I do.
Well, dude, okay, that actually brings up my next question, which is fantastic transition. Way to go, Ryan. See, podcasting, you can do it. You're doing great.
Oh, I'm a natural.
Yeah. So online sports gambling, right? So this has been bothering me probably for the past 2 years because I've been seeing commercials both on, in apps that I'm on, and also just random commercials on shows that I've been watching on the TV. That there's all these different types of ways to gamble online now for sports betting. And I just think that to me, and this is just my opinion, but I have concerns, right? I have concerns about any type of gambling. What are you guys thinking about this? And obviously, Ryan, I want you to start with this because you've done it and you enjoy it. So talk to me about this. Why is it getting so prolific, and what's going on in that arena?
So we're located in Iowa, and that's one of the few states where it is actually legal in. I should preface that. But yeah, anyways, I don't know. It's just something a lot of people our age kind of enjoy to do because it makes it so there's a reason for us to watch the game, I feel like. A lot of the time, I don't know if I'd be tuning into these games every night, but if I got a little skin in the game, it makes me want to watch it.
That's hilarious.
Well, if you were picking games that were more mainstream instead of ping pong matches, you maybe would get more true value of the sports team thing. Anyway,
it's kind of fun to place a tennis bet overnight, and then you wake up and find out if you won. It's like Christmas morning all over again.
I got $500 on that curling match. Throw that rock anyway.
I'm going to throw this out at you, Ryan. I mean, did you play like fantasy sports first before you ventured into more of the gambling side?
I did a little bit, but not nearly as much. I know there's a lot of guys who just love playing fantasy football and baseball and that kind of thing. I did some when I was younger, but really not a whole lot. I'm sure maybe Zed has done quite a bit in his day.
Yeah, growing up, I did play a lot of fantasy sports and stuff. So that's kind of where it probably started for me with some of that stuff, because I don't know if you know this, but they actually have daily fantasy sports. So you can actually wager to build your own fantasy team every week, whether it's football, baseball, golf, basketball. So that's another form of online gambling where you can have a little skin in the game, like Ryan said, and place wagers on players that you think are going to perform well and build your team based on those people. So yeah, it's been interesting to see how it's grown in popularity, even over just the past 2 years since I've turned 21. And yeah, it's obviously people in Ryan and I's age group. It's something to kind of get us interested in wanting to watch more sports and kind of feel like you're more actively involved in the game. So it's been definitely very interesting to see the growth.
Well, and I think some of that is, I know you two guys and myself, if you played sports when you were younger, or if you have any competitive bone in your body, there comes a point where you can't really play sports anymore, whether that's an injury or you just have too many birthdays like me, and you still want to compete, whether that's in your day job or watching a sports event on TV, or in Ryan's case, putting his paycheck on the line. I'm just kidding, Ryan. But, bottom line, I get motivational sometimes and off on a tangent on these things, but it's okay to be competitive, man. Be a good employee, be a good spouse, game on.
And yeah. I'd like to add, it's always fun to beat the book.
Oh, there you go.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Fair point.
Well, it's funny because my wife got into fantasy football a few years back, and she did it for two reasons. Number one, her office was doing it, right? And there's a bunch of guys that are very, very competitive. But it just gives you something to talk about, right, on a weekly basis. They go out and we end up going to a bar or something and having a snack and talking about this kind of stuff. And so she likes the camaraderie part of it. But the other piece that she really, really enjoys is driving all those guys absolutely bananas with the way she picks her teams. This last year, she actually used a Nerf gun and shot it, and whoever she landed on, that was her next pick. And it just drives the rest of them nuts because they do all this research. They buy books on who, I don't even know what goes into it, but they do all this research and they think it's just insane that she's picked them by their colors of their uniform one year. She just does it to make them angry, and it works so well. So there's that piece of it. I don't know if anybody else is out there. Anyway, guys, you know what? I don't know what else I should be asking you right now, but I think that the audience wants to know why you chose this profession. I mean, we've talked to Corey about that. Why did you guys choose to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier with Corey being my dad. It's kind of been something I've grown up around, just seeing investing and just watching markets and seeing how that type of stuff works and being exposed to that at an early age, I think kind of influenced me down the career path that I wanted to go down. Along with that, math was always one of my favorite subjects. So kind of just using some of the skills that I have in that field of study, it's been important for me. And then I think that kind of got cemented for me throughout my college experience, taking classes that were specifically related to finance and investing, along with doing a couple different internships at different places. All those experiences have kind of led me down this path. And I think it's the place that I want to be. So.
And not to copy Zed, but my story is pretty similar. Like I mentioned earlier, when I was younger, I always tried to invest a little bit. And then when I went to college, majored in finance, took the same type of courses as Zed. I always knew I wanted to do something finance related. And after Corey sought me out and wanted me to come check out the firm, it seemed like a great fit. And that was all she wrote.
And I'd like to jump in there too, that and I say this to clients and prospects that walk in the door too, that I'm not going anywhere, at least planned anytime soon, but I'm building out an ensemble or a team. And we've talked about this in other podcasts too, so that, we have interchangeable parts. And so while Ryan is running the equity desk and Zed is down the path to then run the fixed income desk, everybody is interchangeable so that we can, answer any question that comes in or any client matter on the spot same day without delays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've spoken a lot about the team aspect that you create there and that your clients are able to take advantage of, right? So it's Ryan Metzger, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And Zed Heimensen. So for the listening audience, when you call in, we've already talked about that you're going to be talking to somebody on the team. It's very important, Corey. I remember you told me specifically, you want a human being answering the phone. You don't want the whole voicemail stuff and the, push 7 to talk to a human being stuff. You really want somebody to answer that phone. And that's why you've got a very robust team. So I appreciate what you guys do. Corey, when people are listening to this podcast, I know that they know that you're not going anywhere, but maybe they want to call in and talk to the team. How do they get a hold of you guys?
Best way is to use the 800 number, because then I'm paying for the call.
There you go.
Everybody probably uses cell phones anymore, so you probably don't even pay for long distance, but whatever. I'll still pick up the tab. 800-657-4316.
Ryan and Zed, your first podcast down, man. Good job, you guys. What do you think?
Thanks. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all Corey. I just show up. So, well, guys, thank you.
Team effort. There you go.
That's right. Definitely a team effort. Guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Of course, Corey, thank you so much for facilitating this. And our last thank you always goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Win Podcast with Corey Heimensen. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Corey comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it really easy to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Heimensen Wealth Advisors, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Win Podcast. What's important now? The show that helps you achieve your financial dreams. To ask questions about topics covered during the show or get a copy of Stop Doing Dumb Things with Your Money by Corey Heimensen, visit www.heimensenwealth.com or give us a call at 712-472-3867. Don't forget to click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Securities offered through Securities America Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors Inc. Heimensen Wealth Advisors and Securities America are separate entities.